Hi there, listeners.
Today we're brought to you by Yokkao, the world's most prolific Muay Thai brand.
That's right. We're so excited to be teamed up with Yokkao to bring you the best Muay Thai gear.
Honestly, mate, as a coach, it took me a long time to find pads that don't wear down after a few months, but my Yokkaos are staying strong.
It's the worst when you get kicked in the forearms with bad pads.
Yeah, it is the worst, especially when you have to do it every day.
If there's one thing you should never compromise on with martial arts, it's the gear that keeps you safe.
100%, mate. And Yokkao has the absolute best quality of training gear, gloves, shorts, and clothes as well.
Not only that, it's the best value for the quality of the equipment too.
Also, Yokkao are offering you 10% off any purchase by using code CombatCasuals10 at the checkout.
That's Combat Casuals 10 with no spaces.
Get yourself some top quality Muay Thai gear and save some cash. Hello, listeners. Before we get started today, I just want to do a big shout out for one of our sponsors, Power Body Nutrition. They sell all kinds of sports supplements, vitamins and minerals and health foods. If there is anything you need and you don't want to spend too much getting it, you can visit powerbody.co.uk. Alternatively, if you have your own health store or pharmacy or gym and you want to stock up, you can visit the wholesale site powerbody.eu. Ian, I'm not sure if you've used Powerbody before, but good stuff.
I have used it before. It's a great website, really easy to use with lots of products on there. And it gets even better if you use it through us because we have a great discount code too.
Oh, yeah. What's the discount code, Ian?
What is our discount code, Dustin?
Fuck's sake. It's Combat Casuals 10. All one word and the number 10. Combat
there you go.
10. It's
Combat Casuals 10. That's my answer to your previous question.
Lovely. Cool. Right, let's do it. Let's get on with the podcast. Hello and welcome to the Combat Casuals podcast.
If you're a fan of mixed martial arts and all things related, stick around.
We'll be talking everything from past and future events
to harnessing your inner chi and everything in between.
We want to provide you with the opportunity to get involved in the ultimate fighting conversation.
We've been friends for too long now,
and we always have strange conversations.
So we thought, hey, why not make a podcast?
I'm Dustin.
I'm Ian.
And we're the Combat Casuals. At all by this point.
No. Like
it's the same shit.
It's the same shit. It's the fact that DC, when they did UFC 200, said to him, like, you're a bad person. You're bad to your core. And he was like, I've hit my rock bottom. Me hitting, this pregnant woman in a car and breaking her arm, running away from the scene of crime, running back from my drugs and then running away. Just so everybody remembers what he did. Is my rock bottom. And then he's been arrested since that 3 times. It's like
he's so bad. That's frustrating for me about it. It's not even that he does that because I don't care. I'm really indifferent to him. But he still has fans. Like, you know, he's just going through hard times, or like
he's 35. He's not going through hard times,
dude. I don't know.
But
at what point? At what point do you stop justifying the shitty things that people do? Like, surely every criminal that there has ever been has got some reason why they've done the things that they've done. Like, every murderer is a murderer because, I don't know, they had a bad childhood or... something happened.
I was saying this... me and Simone, like, because Simone even knows how bad of a person Jon Jones is. Me and Simone, and she doesn't care about mixed martial arts. We were talking about it, and she was like, why does he keep doing this stuff? Why is he not like... Because we watched DC like slaughtering him about it, and it's like what you just said is completely right. There's all criminals have like a reason for doing stuff, and people who do commit certain crimes, there's a myriad of different like reasons of their either economic backgrounds or mental health, etc. The thing with Jon Jones is that I just think he fundamentally is like a bad person. I know that sounds like, you're trying to, as you say, his fans try and say like, oh no, he's going through problems and he's got like his own issues. But I just think he likes doing these things. And I think people need to realize, no, he's just a bad person and he's never going to change. And you shouldn't support him. People shouldn't be like, yeah, this is good. He's just a bad person. That's just it fundamentally. And like,
agreed.
There's nothing more to it. As you say, like, I don't really care what he's doing. I'd prefer he's a good person and not like harming people and harming, innocent people, because again, sounds like it's domestic abuse. He's been arrested for assaulting a barmaid. I hope he stops doing stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I just think I either want him to see him get knocked the fuck out, or I want to just see him not fight ever again and just disappear, because I don't want somebody like that being, one, promoted by the UFC, and two, having fans, because he's not a good person.
Did he get inducted to the Hall of Fame, or did he not make it there? Did this happen before?
No. So no, this is after. It's after. So he's inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Yeah, he got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Which there is an interview which I've never seen something age so badly so quickly. It wasn't just like milk sat in the sun. It was like milk being thrown into the sun. It aged that quickly. Like,
okay.
He said, I need to be better at promoting fights. And then he said jokingly, I'll do legally controversial stuff to promote my fights now, like Conor McGregor trash talking people and stuff like that. And I was like, man, that's aged terribly.
Like, really? Oh my gosh!
In the space of 12 hours.
Oh, because he was laughing at Dylan Dennis as well, wasn't it? Because Dylan Dennis just got arrested.
Yeah.
And he was giving him grief online, and then less than a week later,
arrested. Less than a week. Less than
Christ.
a week. Less than 12 hours after saying he's going to do more legally controversial stuff. That's
just got carried away, man. He had the spirit. It had the right idea, but
he started well. The night started well. He was just trash talking some people, ended with being arrested. It just, I bet he sat in that cell now going, damn it, I let this one run away from me.
The thing that's frustrating is, because I just try to avoid having these debates with people now, because it just ruins your day. But like, people will say, "Oh, like, who cares? What a fighter's like outside of the cage, or whatever." Like, I support them because they're fun to watch, or whatever. And I'm like, like, you can you can enjoy watching someone without like supporting them is like hoping they do well. Like,
yeah. If
someone's a fundamentally bad guy, like, why would you wish them well? Like, as opposed to like, you have some amazing characters in the UFC. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
like, the fact
interestingly,
that anyone would support McGregor over Poirier, or like would support Jon Jones over DC, or any of that. I'm like, I don't understand it. Mate.
I don't understand it. It's interesting that you mentioned that as well. Like, there's tons of people. Literally the same night as him being inducted into the Hall of Fame, George St. Pierre was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and it's like that. Yeah, I know, right? And I'm like, that's the fundamental difference. There's like the best, like this chain, like two different fighters. yeah. But I agree with you, man. It's like, it's a weird one, because also you look at supporting, say, an MMA fighter and supporting a football team, or supporting a rugby club, or supporting a different sport is kind of different, because like with football, you could have a player who's fundamentally a bad person, like, or have done bad things, like Ronaldo isn't the nicest person, or whoever it is. You can have that, but that doesn't change your perspective, I guess, of the whole team. Like, you're not going to go, oh, I don't like that player, so I don't like Man United anymore if you're a Man United fan. Like, I'm not, but if you are, then I get that. But when you go, oh no, I don't really pay attention to what Jon Jones does in his private life, I just support him as a fighter. It's like, well, those two things are very closely interwoven. Like, you can't be like, oh, I just enjoy watching him in the ring. And it's like, well, whether it's his steroid abuse, which, I mean, he's been popped for multiple times, whether it's his criminal behavior, these things are actually quite closely linked to his career. So it's hard to be like, oh no, I'm okay with supporting a guy who's done all these terrible things because he looks good in the ring. So, well, and it's one of the reasons why I also find it a little bit difficult 100% to be the biggest fan of Khabib, because obviously in the ring, Khabib's phenomenal, but there are things that he said privately and things that he does in his private life, which I'm a little bit like, well, I don't really agree with that. It's not that I now don't like Khabib. It's not as bad as Jon Jones. He's not done anything of that extent. But fundamentally, like, I wanted Dustin Poirier to beat Khabib because I really don't like Dustin Poirier. Yeah, exactly. I support Dustin Poirier because he's a great guy,
Yeah. People like front runners as well, don't they? Most people just like the team that's winning. They like the fighter that's winning until they're not winning anymore, and then they just discard them.
And it's totally true. I mean, Khabib, again, it's not the same because he's not as bad as Jon Jones. He's not fundamentally like a bad person. But
Yeah.
Khabib, Jon Jones, these big names of people who keep winning and people support them. I get it because, as you say, people want to be on the winning team. But
too right they do.
you know, you've got to get the bottom line is that like Jon Jones is not a good person, and you shouldn't be like. I'd rather support somebody like DC in defeat than support Jon Jones in victory. You
Definitely.
know, like DC's a great guy. He's fundamentally like a really awesome dude, and he seems like a down to earth person too. And
Yeah.
I'd rather support him in his losses than, you know, be like, oh yeah, Jon Jones, it's okay. He'll redeem himself. It's like, why? Why would I do that?
You know what a big part of it I think is because after the fight, if you're, you know, the person that you support lost, you have to deal with it online. So like you'll go on Instagram and obviously so first of all, what I find really funny is like you'll go on Instagram and underneath one of the posts or something, it will say, oh, all the people that were saying whatever, like, where are you now? Like, not saying much now. You're pretty quiet now. I'm like, bro, my stream hasn't even like caught up. I'm not at the main event yet. Like, but
oh,
mate,
you know
those
I mean? Struggles.
You kind of feel like
relate to those struggles.
You have to
the delay.
Sorry, are we getting a delay now?
No, we're good. I just we're just timing in at the same time. We're both like, I was just when you talked about our stream hasn't even caught up. I had flashbacks of when we watched Conor McGregor at Aldo.
Oh my god, man!
Do you remember that, mate?
Of course, I remember.
Oh my god, it was like the worst night ever.
We used to have UFC Undisputed 3 on one TV. And the UFC on the other TV. That was good times, man.
Those were good times, man. I loved that game. That was such a good game. But yeah, the feed cut out just as Aldo rushed in.
Awful. And then we were just like, guess I'll go to bed. Feeling really empty and dark.
Yeah. Carry on though. Yeah, online, I think you're right. I think that is a big part of it. You know, I think people want to. I think also there's this sort of keyboard warrior mentality. Like when you're on the winning team, you can sit and be like, I knew Jon Jones was the best. Blah, 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 blah,
didn't know shit.
Like...
you had a 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
And you've gone on. I knew it.
Yeah, I knew it. Yes, I knew it.
This is going to seem really random now, but I just love to stir the pot. As you brought up supporting a football team, right? I don't know how you feel about it. Right, this isn't going to go down well at all, but I don't care. Fuck you, it's my podcast.
I'm really worried about what you're about to say. I'm like, ooh.
So supporting football teams, right?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Here's why. The players always change. The kit changes. The manager changes. Most of the players aren't from the place where the
owners change as well.
Where the team is. Sometimes the fucking stadium changes. Like not often, but sometimes they'll move to a new ground or whatever. What do you support? What is it? Like what is it? What is it? When I watch a fighter, I'm like, oh, Anderson Silva, he's cool. I like him, and I support him. And then he retires, and I'm like, that's the end of that. When you support a team, what is it? What are you supporting? It all changes.
I guess. Firstly, thank God that's what you said, because I thought we can't talk about it. We can't talk about it, even as a tiny little.
Yes, we can.
Tiny little podcast that we are, but like when I talked about bad people and I brought up Ronaldo, there's a terrible, terrible thing he got accused of. So look it up. I'm just saying, but we can't talk about it because it's libelous. Yeah,
that's not what our podcast is about. Yeah, I don't know anything about it. Let's not.
We never talked about it. Move on.
But
anyway, it's a weird one because I support Spurs because me and my godfather like enjoy watching their games. But yeah, I get what you mean. Their kit changes, the players change, the owners change, the stadiums change.
So what do you support?
I guess you're supporting the history of what that club did, I guess, at some stage in the past. I will say I do think people are a bit too tribal about football.
Right they are.
It's a bit like, again, if somebody told me that they really, really liked, well, I would judge somebody if they said they really, really like Jon Jones. But I would genuinely judge you. If you're going to come on the podcast and never say that, I judge you for that because you're a bad person.
That's because there's actual things you can denote from that. Like, he's a bad person, you like him. That semi-implies you might be a bad person.
But
like,
if
you
somebody
agree with the things he did, or you like the things he did, like when Conor McGregor does something dreadful, if you find it funny, that kind of implies you're a bad person.
You're a bad person. If you said to me you really liked Khabib, I wouldn't be like, I judge you for that then. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be
Yeah, 'cause-
tribal about, you know, somebody being a fan of Khabib and me being a fan of Dustin Poirier. I'm not going to be tribal about that. I
Yeah, yeah.
respect that somebody else is like enjoys watching that fighter or enjoys watching another team.
But
I
if you
guess
like
it's
Jon Jones, we don't respect you. Stop listening right now.
Stop listening. We hate all of you. We don't
Jon
need
Jones fan. Get out.
unless you're the one listener that we have, and then don't leave us.
What, mate? If someone was a Jon Jones fan, they would not be a listener of this. I think we've done like 5 episodes based on how much we dislike Jon Jones.
In fact, one of them is called
Fuck Jon Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
What's
that
this going to be? Fuck Jon Jones 2. Electric
Boogaloo. Electric Boogaloo. Amazing, amazing. But yeah, I get what you mean. I mean, if you don't like those style of sports like football, rugby, and those sort of things, then I understand why you'd be like, why do people support them? I guess like when it comes to rugby, it's a little bit easier in my mind because I prefer watching national rugby than team rugby, and with national teams, there's a little bit of like, you know, even if the kit changes, the team changes, it's the nation team, I guess. And I know also, you know, people being like, oh, nation rivalry, etc., all that stuff is a bit silly anyway. But there's a bit more logic to it than the tribalness of football clubs.
I get
it. Yeah, the tribalness of football clubs is bizarre. You know,
one more thing that football supporters won't like. I think football proliferates racism.
No, I think it does too. I don't even think if football fans don't like that, then I think you need to take a look in the mirror.
Fuck you, football fans. Fuck you. Fuck Jon Jones. Fuck off. No,
we don't need any of you.
So it's not an issue, and I don't think many people mean it maliciously by any extent. But like I experienced when I was young, like my oldest brother and that would be like, oh yeah, Arsenal, like pushing it on you from a young age, right? And it's like oh yeah, we're the Reds. We don't like them. They're blue. And I'm why don't we like them? Because they're fucking blue, and they're not from here. They're from somewhere else, and they're not. They're the wrong color. They're not from around here. So fuck them. And I'm like, bro, that's racism.
Jesus,
like that's exactly what racism is. You're just using a friendly sport to like. That, you know what I mean?
Well, completely. I mean, I think you look at the fact that you have when you have players trying to show that they're in support of anti-racist groups and you have them being booed, I think it shows that fundamentally, like, football has always had a very close interwoven relationship with racism. And you look at something like Chelsea Football Club, which has had multiple issues with racism from their fans. A lot of their fans back in the 70s and 80s and so forth were skinheads and like were football hooligans who then were extremely racist as well. And that's just proliferated to now. And then when you have people booing, but then again, this is becoming a heavy podcast. I was about to say, when you have politicians who are racist and you have politicians who call people who want to take the knee as gesture politics, but they themselves are taking part in gesture politics, it perpetuates a racist like mindset of people who go to football games. Because if you had somebody being like, yeah, no, we should take the knee, we should like support Kick It Out, the anti-racism charity, if we had those groups and we had leaders actually saying that, then maybe there would be a change in mindset from those people. But I completely agree with you that I think football, or at least the tribal nature of football, perpetuates that racist sort of structure. You know, because you see these fans who throw banana peels or throw bananas at Sterling and who do monkey gestures, but they and their own team have black players playing for their team. It is completely to do with like, oh, well, they're a black player on another team and I can be racist to that person. It's just, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And it's disgusting. And it got very heavy all of a sudden very quick, you know?
It got really heavy, man. You see similar stuff in like MMA, but I don't feel like it's to the same degree because there's not teams.
No.
But like,
I agree. I agree with you.
We've been to live events, and you will have seen this the same way that I have. Like, you know, the fighters are coming out, and we're in London, and it will be fucking whoever George from down the road. you know, from London, fighting out of London. Oh, everyone's away. And I'd be like, oh, and, you know, some geezer who's a really nice bloke from Brazil. Oh, no, fuck that guy. And everyone's booing. And I'm like, bro, you don't even know that guy. Like, you don't know either of those guys. Like, if he'd have made the announcement wrong, you would have cheered the wrong guy. Like,
yeah, I agree. I've never really supported fighters based on where they come from.
Me neither.
Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't really care. Like, if they're good fighters and good people, that's what I care about. Like, you know, was it cool that the UK had their first champion in the form of Michael Bisping? Like, yeah, you know,
it's
but
cool
again,
as a statistic.
It's cool as a statistic. Also, I didn't really like Luke Rockhold, so going into that fight, I was more on Bisping's side anyway, because I didn't really like Luke Rockhold. So it wasn't that he was a British fighter; it's more the fact that I didn't really like Luke Rockhold that much.
Who does, Matt? He gets a lot of stick, doesn't he? He gets the amount of stick that Jon Jones deserves. Like,
yeah, that's true. Actually, like Luke Rockhold isn't that bad of a person.
Yeah, he's really not that bad. Fuck Luke Rockhold. Like, why? It's so aggressive.
I know. He's not that bad of a guy. I just think he's just really cringe. I think that's the thing.
But that's it. He's pretty much just cringe. I don't think he's a bad dude.
He's not a bad dude, but he is cringe to watch.
When you hated on, man.
He does get hated on. He's making a comeback though, so maybe he can get new fans with his comeback. I don't.
We'll see.
We'll see. But yeah, I completely agree with you, man. And weirdly enough, I mean, one of the worst places for that in terms of like fans being really aggressive to outside fighters is Brazil. They are insane when it comes to like outside fighters.
Really?
You know, obviously, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, you get like the absolute scumbag pieces of shit like Kobe Covington who goes there and wants to like stir the pot and like be a racist. He's racist in himself, so you know, but you hear the Brazil. I mean, he is, but you hear like in the stadium in Brazil when it's any like non-Brazilian fighters, them saying in Brazilian, "You're gonna die, you're gonna die." Like any Brazilian fighter,
we're all gonna die.
They're just reminding him. They're just telling him one day you're gonna die. So make sure you've got.
So heavy.
This has been the heaviest one we've ever done.
So
Brazilian fight, Brazilian. If you watch any of the UFC Brazil cards or anything like that, you'll find that they're very tribal as a fight fan nation, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder why that is.
I don't know. Maybe it's just fighting for them. You know, when you think about the UFC champions you've had. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my throat today. When you think about the UFC champions that we've had who are Brazilian, I guess there's a lot of pride being a Brazilian fighter. And I guess also if we're talking about cultural backgrounds of Brazil, a lot of these fighters like, you know, Jose Aldo grew up in the favelas, grew up on street fighting and things like that. So I guess there is a deep rooted sense of like pride in these fighters who've made it big.
I suppose it depends as well to what extent that sport is like how big is that sport in your country? Like it's not massive in the UK, so I suppose people don't get as into it. But football obviously is massive here, so everyone gets well into it.
Yeah, completely. And yeah, exactly. And in Brazil, I think a lot of those people who are going to be watching Jose Aldo when he fought Chad Mendes in Brazil, and he ran into the audience, a lot of those people there probably can relate very distinctly to a guy who's grown up on the streets, who's had nothing and then become a fighter. I think a lot of people can be like, oh yeah, I want this guy to win because he fundamentally is somebody who I identify with. So yeah, I think that's just probably it. You know, I don't think they actually want the guy to die. You know, I don't think they're like.
You'd hope not.
Yeah. Hopefully, you know, we'll never know.
No.
But yeah.
So moving on then, how have things changed for you since being a blue belt?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good. That was a nice transition. That was nice.
I thought it was quite jagged, actually.
We'll talk about it now. We'll do the post-production.
Stop you right there. And
next time we need to make sure that's smooth. No, I'm joking.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's been an interesting one, man. So like, I didn't really expect to get the blue belt, if I'm honest, because you know.
Shit.
Pretty much. No, because, you know, we've not been too long back from the pandemic and pre-pandemic. Well, it's still going on, but you know what I mean. The lockdowns, I should say. And pre-lockdown, training was going well and it felt good. So pandemic, I felt like I was hitting some stride with my training. But at that point, I was just a white belt with one stripe. And I know the stripes don't really mean much, but it still didn't feel like I was at that level of blue belts, because I rolled with other blue belts and stuff. You always do. And there did feel like a gulf between the skill.
Right.
And then since getting the blue belt, if I'm honest, and I've been honest with Lorenzo and other coaches, in a weird way, I'm not ungrateful that I'm a blue belt, but in a weird way, I wish I was still a white belt.
Right.
Because, and me and Lorenzo were talking about this, and he said there is this thing, I guess, like blue belt blues, that he called it, that, you're not, when I understand it, because I kind of guess I'm having that other white belts now want to beat you because they want to prove themselves to be better, and they want to be like, I tapped this blue belt. But then you're still learning, because blue belt isn't like, you're not suddenly the best in the gym or anything like that. You're just a blue belt, and there's purple belts, there's brown belts, there's black belts. So you're still not at a level that's like incredibly high either. But the gulf, I guess, between being a high-level white belt and a low-level like white belt, sorry, that tongue twister, is quite small. But the gulf between being a high-level blue belt and a low-level blue belt is massive. I think to be a high-level blue belt who's just about to become a purple belt and being a low-level blue belt is quite big, because purple belts are incredibly good. So I've felt a bit weird. I'm not going to lie. I haven't felt amazing, and the idea of competing at blue belt makes me a lot more nervous as well. Like competing at white belt, I felt like I would go into those competitions and be pretty dominant, I guess, or at least not. I don't want to be overconfident, because I'm not amazing, but I felt like I would be fairly good with wrestling and some pressure and so forth. Whereas now I'm like, I don't know if I'm honest. Like I don't know how I'm going to do, and the only way is by doing it. So I'm going to be competing in November. Just in no-gi, not in gi. Nice. I'd want to do no-gi. Especially gi is probably where I'm weakest, if I'm honest. Gi for me.
Well, we did no-gi for ages, didn't we?
Exactly. No-gi is just where I think, one, I've come from with training with you, and two, it just makes more sense to me. Like gi, sometimes I'm like, I forget that the gi's there, because I'm like just doing it as in no-gi. So it's been a weird one, if I'm honest, mate. Like, it's obviously, I'm very happy and I'm proud that I've achieved that, and I'm happy and thankful to everybody who's helped me, including yourself and like Lorenzo and like everyone I know. Actually, everybody's been very supportive of me training, and my family. It's like a acceptance speech. I'm thankful for everybody. But at the same time, I'm also like, I guess it's not a bad thing to be thinking there's more for me to do. Because if I suddenly came on here and was like, I feel amazing, I'm the fucking best, and blah, 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 you're not going to improve. And I guess that's why a lot of people leave jiu-jitsu at blue belt, which is true. A lot of people do drop out at blue belt.
They get that, like, completed it, mate, mentality, don't they?
Yeah,
like...
yeah. Whereas I'm like, I haven't completed shit. I've not done anything.
Because I think blue belt is kind of like a representation of, you understand jiu-jitsu. Like, I mean, you don't know it all, but like you understand all of it.
Mm-hmm,
like,
yeah,
I think that's kind of what blue belt represents. Is like, you're not a beginner anymore. Like, you are a jiu-jitsu person now. You're a jiu-jitsu athlete.
I guess that if I think of it like that, that makes me feel a bit better about it, because I guess something I've found is that in training, I'm still getting caught in lots of stuff, and I'm still getting like, when I'm rolling with other blue belts, I can still tell the difference between me and say another blue belt, and those blue belts have been blue belts longer than I have. But I'll be watching like videos explaining how to do stuff, and I'll understand what they are talking about, like De La Rivas and reverse De La Rivas.
I'd say if you didn't know what you were getting caught in, you're a white belt.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good way to look at it, because I feel like I've got so much more to do. Like, and I think that's a good thing to think, though. So, in a weird way, to answer your question, it's been all right. Yeah,
I still remember when we like started being friends, and you were well into rugby, and I was like, man, fuck rugby. Like, come here and let me strangle you. Like,
I remember, it's crazy to think, like, that I have got a blue belt now. That is sometimes like I'll I know it sounds funny, but I'll empty my kit bag and I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh yeah, I am a blue belt. Because, you know, when I think about when we started and when I started doing martial arts to now, and the stuff I can do now when I think about it, now that we're talking about it, to the stuff I could do then is like fundamentally like leaps and bounds, I guess. Like, you know, it is weird because I still think of myself as being probably as experienced as I was then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I keep going and keep training, because I think I need to do more. But yeah, no, I guess I have done a lot.
Yeah.
So, but it's a weird one. It's weird thinking about it, weird talking about it. You know, I try and always be humble with these things because I don't want to be like, yeah, I've got my fucking blue belt and fuck everybody else. But you know,
Man, like we had guys. I mean, you must get it as well. But like we've had guys like come to my gym. And like before rolling, they love giving you a big spiel about like all the competitions they've done, or like everywhere they've trained, or the biggest thing is like their lineage. And I'm like, bro, like you've just started. Like, why are you chatting about your like? Right, just because your coach is good at jiu-jitsu, that doesn't mean you're good at jiu-jitsu. Like, people love going on about their lineage, and then they just get, like, and then more often than not, they get smashed. All the ones that talk a big talk are the ones who get smashed, and the ones who are really humble, like. My guy that's purple, who's left, sadly. I was quite gutted when he left. But when he came, like he doesn't like wear like jazzy spats or anything. Like he wears like Under Armour shorts, like a casual t-shirt. And like when he came down, I was like, "Have you been doing it long?" He was like, "Oh, you know." He said a couple of years, or whatever, 3 years, I think it was. And I was like, you know, are you good? And he was like, yeah, I'm all right, type thing. Mate, he smashed everyone. Like, he smashed everyone. Like, all of my guys. I was like, fucking hell, now I'm going to have to get involved. Like, I had to defend my gym's honour. But no, like, and then, you know what I mean? It was so nice having him. But, you know what I mean? He was so humble. And it's always the ones who chat shit that are the shit ones.
Is this when I say that I wear bright neon rash guards now, like and shorts?
Do you?
I wear like I've got. Have you seen the tatami, the zebra print pink neon like shorts? Yeah.
That's very you.
Yeah, it's very me, isn't it? It is like, but me and my my mate at class, Dan, who we could maybe bring him on here. Actually, he'd be a great laugh, but. He also wears bright stuff, and we both say it's to try and intimidate people, like peacocking. We can be like, we go to competitions and they look and go, oh, those guys must be good. Oh, I don't want to roll with them.
You do. So then when people are good, don't you? And the jazzy stats, you assume they're.
But in actual fact, we're shit. So we go into it.
Funny, man.
Make it so they're a bit nervous. And it's like, good. That's what we want.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I like wearing those bright ones. It's more just, as you say, it's very me. It's a very me
thing to do. Gives you an opportunity to wear something loud. I don't have anything really loud, but like I like the old game ones. I've got the Altered Beast and Streets of Rage.
I like those ones like too.
So I'll wear like colourful ones, but not fucking neon pink.
But it has been good.
You can't get tapped out in neon pink. Fuck's sake. That's
all the time,
embarrassing.
Mate.
Just sitting
happens
on the floor,
all the time.
Like, reassessing your life.
Happens all the time. Happens all the time. I get choked out all the time.
Before we go too far on from like belts and belt mentality, have you seen that Jesse Eisenberg film, The Art of Self-Defense?
No, is it good?
Oh, I think it's really funny, man.
Is it on? Like, what's it on?
I don't know.
I might have to go to our support. I'll go to our support fact checker today, who is my flatmate.
Yeah, please
Rory.
ask him, and I'll talk about it whilst he Googles it.
Rory, what's the film again?
The Art of Self-Defense with Jesse Eisenberg.
The Art of Self-Defense with Jesse Eisenberg. What platform can people watch that on? We're finding out now, people. We're living in the 21st century.
So basically, has he got it?
Oh, we can't watch it for free. It's not on for free, apparently. You have to buy it on Prime.
Oh no! Just fucking do it. It's like, what is it? Like £3? Just do it.
Right. How much is it, Rory? It's $3.99. You're spot on, Rory.
Pretty close for that. That's a bad state of affairs about the modern world, isn't it? When I say 3, it's $3.99, and you say spot on. No, 4.
Yeah, no, it's 4.
Anyway.
It's 4. It's not. Yeah, you didn't get it right. It's not £3. It's £4.99. Thank you, Rory. Thanks, fact checker, Rory. He might make more appearances in the future.
Fuck, not.
Well, he may well do.
Maybe. But Jesse Eisenberg's like this nerdy guy who gets beaten up and that. So he finds this like karate dojo, and he kind of gets lost in the world of it, and he gets like really obsessed about when he gets his first belt, which I think in karate is yellow. Like you go from white to yellow. And
There's so many belts in karate. I don't know what's going on there.
So many, man. Like anyway, it's really worth a watch. It's quite funny, but like as we were talking about the mentality of belts, it's really funnily portrayed in that film. So,
yeah, I will watch that. I have heard it's really good. Like I've seen other people who are martial arts fans like post.
Oh, but also the Foot Fist Way. Oh my gosh, have you seen
is that in the film?
Way? No.
Oh no,
another movie.
Oh no, I haven't heard of that either.
Man,
what's that one?
But so I don't know where you'd watch that because it's like a little.
We can fact check again if you want.
Yes, fact check. So it's Danny McBride. You know Danny McBride, don't you?
No, who's that?
Danny McBride. He's in like he's in Hot Rod. He's in.
Oh yeah, I do know who you mean. Yeah. I know exactly who you mean.
But he's an instructor, and it's just, mate. I don't know. I don't want to ruin it. It's just a
the Foot Fist Way.
The Foot Fist Way.
I'll have a look at it. But it is interesting. The belt mentality is a really interesting thing, and I'm excited to compete at blue belt, but it has been a weird one. I won't lie, it has been a bit weird. I still feel weird about it. I still feel like I'm not really a blue belt, and I still feel a bit like fish out of water. But at the same time, maybe that's a good thing because then at least it keeps me hungry to train and to keep getting better. Because I don't want to just sit and be like, oh, I'm okay. I'm a blue belt now. It's fine. Because I don't feel like that. So yeah, it's good. But I want to be better. So I'm happy. I'm happy that I am doing, at least in some people's eyes, well. But I guess the other major thing for us, I guess on a personal level, so for me it was getting my blue belt. But for you, it's your Fightathon. It's been so long since we've actually talked that so much has happened in between. Yeah, it has. You're still going now. You're still fighting. No, but I wanted to know. I've been dying to actually talk to you about it, and I didn't want to talk to you about it over messages too much because obviously we do talk, but I didn't want to go like, oh, tell me everything that happened, because I was like, it's good to talk about it on here.
It is.
So tell me everything that happened.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on a really fluid transition between.
Thank you. I thought that was quite good, wasn't it?
Really nicely done. What a conversationalist. Beautiful.
Cheers, man. I try.
Yeah. So, just in case, we talked about it in the last episode. That was a long time ago. But so my Fightathon was to raise money for Mind charity, and it was 44 5-minute rounds of some MMA, like mostly Muay Thai, but some MMA, some boxing, some jiu-jitsu. Just basically whoever was there, whatever that person wanted to do, that's what we were doing.
Cool.
And that was a fucking nightmare. Like, I can say without. It's not even close. That's by far the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I did worry about you on the day. Like, I did think, this is going to be really hard. Like, this is going to be like one of the hardest things anybody has done. I can't think of anything as awful. I don't think I would want to do that. I think about like rolling for 5 minutes, and I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, it was horrific because you can't end it. Like if I got a tap, you just went straight away again. So there was no incentive to win, or you just, I don't know, which that kind of made it worse. Like you'd think that that's less tiring if you're not looking for the win the whole time. I was still trying to get subs, but
of course,
think that'd make it less tiring. No, it doesn't. It makes it demoralizing. Do you know what I mean?
God.
That no matter what happens, tap or get tapped, you're there for that amount of time, and nothing's going to change. And that was just awful. No motivation to win, no motivation to not lose. Yeah, it was just horrible. It was fucking. My goal was to not get tapped or TKO'd or anything the whole time.
Yeah,
that was my goal.
Yeah.
Which I did. Yeah, I didn't get tapped or anything, so I was happy with that.
Well, that's really good. What would you say hardest? Like, where did you hit the wall in terms of that, or did you ever hit the wall and had to push through it? Was there a
too right, mate? There was so many walls. Like the whole thing was walls. Like Jesus Christ,
I'm trapped in a box.
I'm in a glass case of emotion. So the most noticeable of all the walls. So out of 44 rounds was after the 6th round.
Because I thought you were going to say after 44 walls.
No,
it's going to be like Jesus. Okay.
So after the 6th round, right? Because I mean, anyone who's done any sparring or jiu-jitsu or anything, do you know what I mean? Like 30 minutes is plenty. Like 30 minutes. You know, like 6 hard rounds, 6 hard 5-minute rounds is plenty. Yeah. And I was like at death's door already. And I was like, I've got 38 more to go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's when I really I sat down on the stool between rounds and I was like, oh my God, like, there's actually no way I'm going to be able to do this. Like, there's no way. And like, I remember thinking like, I know for a fact I'm not going to be able to do it. It's just how many rounds can I do before? And in my head, I'm like, how am I gonna like? How do I say it? Like, I'm just, you know, thank you everyone for coming. Like, but I'm really sorry I can't do it. Like, I was all proper in my head. Like, I'm obviously gonna have to give up. I'm just wondering how I can give up. You know what I mean? Like, what do I?
Were you thinking this when you were like rolling then and stuff?
Yeah,
were you thinking,
yeah. Whilst I was rolling, whilst I was on the bench, and that got me through quite a few rounds of being like, I knew for a fact I was like, I'm going to give up, like, because I have to. There's no way I can make it. And I was trying to think, like, you know, I'll just think, you know, I just felt so bad because everyone had like come out to help me or to watch me or whatever, and raised all this money, and I got to do it,
man.
And then like, so that got me into the mentality of literally 1 round at a time. Like, just do 1 more round. Just do 1 more. Like, just who is it next? Oh, it's Jake. Okay, just do 1 more round, and then I can quit. And then I'll finish that one and be like, fuck me, right? 1 more round, and then I'll quit. And then I got to like, I don't know, the late 20s, and I was like, oh shit, like I'm over halfway. Like, that's actually conceivable. Like, this is actually doable.
I'm making it. I can get there.
I spent so long in autopilot. Like, when I tried to, even immediately after it, like, even that evening, people were trying to like ring me and ask me about it or message me about it or whatever. Even that evening, I didn't really have any recollection of rounds between like 6 and like 30.
Jeez, man.
Like, I was so on autopilot.
You weren't even thinking, you were just getting through.
I wasn't thinking at all, man. I was just like, my body was just doing the job and my head was elsewhere.
Yeah. I jumped in on watching some of your rounds through the day. I couldn't tell you which ones I was watching because I was in and out and so forth, and the time changed and so on. But I must say, like, you looked good through them, like the ones I was coming through. Thank you. You were in there, and like, it wasn't. I was genuinely. There was a part of me was like, I've got to make sure he's not like passed out or something. I like jump on, make sure he's okay. Because I was like, you know, it's not my doubting of your athleticism, because obviously you're a very athletic guy, you know, and you know what you're doing as well. But when you said how many rounds, I was like, even on the last podcast, I was like, Jesus Christ, that's crazy. It is insane.
It was stupid. It was stupid.
Yeah, would you ever do it again?
No, fucking no chance. I ever do that again. Like, no, like. And I mean, people say, oh, you know, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Don't fucking do it. Like, if you're thinking, oh, that's a challenge, it's not a like, it's not a challenge. It's just the fucking worst. Don't do it. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's like, not that running a marathon's easy. Of course it's not. Like, and I probably couldn't run a marathon. I'd have to train hard to do one. I'll do one at some point. But like, it's not just like, oh, a fun challenge for you to do. That's like, that took me to some dark place in my mind. Like, I can't stress how seriously you should not ever try to do that. It was.
Would you, having done that, would you consider doing like a marathon then instead? Like, you mentioned a marathon.
Definitely instead.
Yes. Yeah.
I would rather do 3 marathons.
Yeah. Well, would you do something like that then? Would you think about doing this in the future again to raise money? Yeah. And then do like these marathons, like do 3 in 3 weeks or something like that?
I'll definitely do a marathon. Yeah, that'd be cool. But
yeah. I mean, I would like to do something like that myself. Not the fighting thing. Fuck that. Yeah. I struggle at class, let alone doing that.
A few people said to me like, oh yeah, I came by and watched for however long or whatever, and I was just like, did you? Like, I had no idea. Honestly, mate, I didn't know who was there. I didn't. Like, my brother kept trying to feed me this banana between rounds, mate. That literally, that was like. It was horrific, but it was something to right. I like bananas, right? I have a banana.
Yeah, I like banana.
I have a banana every day, but like I thought like I literally spent the whole thing like on the edge of vomiting. And he was trying to feed me this banana, and I was just like, "Would you just fuck up, mate?" I was biting like the thinnest, like transparent slices of banana. Like he was like, "You
I'd
have to
love
eat
now.
some," and I'm like grinding my teeth along the edge of it till I get the tiniest slice that I could.
I love the idea
mate.
that now you used to love bananas, but now you fucking hate them.
Mate,
Because
no,
of
no,
this
just
being
that one. I
forced.
like others. Just that one I don't like.
Just that one
Fuck
fucking
that
banana.
Jesus. And then obviously, like, as the time, because it was like 4.5 hours,
Mm.
mate, it took me like 2.5 hours to eat this banana. like I was literally taking a tiny bite at the break of each round. And
Oh my
by the
god.
end, it was just like, just like going brown and like, when they start getting like wet on the end,
Yeah.
if you're bitten
Yeah,
into
they
it.
don't. They've been oxidized. They look
Right.
grim. Yeah.
Just like, get the fuck away with this banana. Gross.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so good.
You know what the maddest thing of it all
mm,
was like I had no control over my emotions at all. Like I'd be in the round, and whilst I was in
mhm.
the round, I was like I was there, or I was like on autopilot, and I was just fighting because
Yeah, yeah,
you're just thinking about not getting hit, aren't you? You're just fighting.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then I go over to my stool, and immediately like how do I like sadness like in my body, right? That I
Jesus.
couldn't control, like to the extent as if like someone had died.
Oh my
Like,
god.
just so overwhelmingly, like, sad, right? And,
Oh
like,
my
mate, I
god.
cried a few times,
Jesus.
but there was no thought linked to it. I
You
was
just
so emotional.
yeah, because your body's fucking
Fucked. Yeah,
exhausted.
my body was fucked, and I had absolutely no control over, like,
Oh my
my
god.
emotions or anything. And at the end of all of
Yeah,
it
people really shouldn't do this. This was a
no,
really bad idea.
mate, it was proper fucked. I've never experienced anything like it, and I don't want to ever again.
Yeah.
At the end, like, I did my kicks and that, because I had
Mhm.
to take the leg kicks off of it.
Yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
That was bad. And then,
Just to make it worse, you know.
yeah, and then, like, I felt, like, all okay. I was like, "Oh, like, I've done it," type thing, like, "Oh, I've
Yeah.
finished," like, brilliant. And then I laid on the floor, and
Yeah.
then as soon as I, like, laid down and, like, took the weight off my legs, I started
Yeah.
having a panic attack, like, really bad.
Jesus.
I used to think that a panic attack was like, "Oh, calm down, mate. Do you know what I mean? You'll be alright."
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought it was not people being attention seekers, but like I don't know, people who just like can't control their emotions, and it's like,
Yeah.
come on, man, just
Yeah.
got nah. It's not. Like
No.
couldn't. I felt like my heart was beating like 200 beats per minute, like
Yeah.
flying. Like I could, and I
Mm.
couldn't breathe at all. I felt like my breath was like a dog's, like like that.
Mm.
And
Mm.
like again, like just proper sad just came over me. I was crying and that, and like I couldn't breathe.
Mhm.
One of the guys, Carl, one of my students who was fighting me on the day, he came
Mhm.
over and he was like fucking like rubbing my chest, and they had my legs up
Mhm.
in the air trying to get blood back into my head and all this
Mhm.
shit.
Mhm.
Mate, it was fucking terrifying. That I thought I was gonna
Mm.
die.
Like honestly, it's crazy you say that because like I think a lot of people don't realize how bad a panic attack can be. You know, like I think that's quite common. It's interesting you did this for mines as well, didn't you?
Yeah, well, because
And
one of mine's slogans is "Fight for mental health," and I thought,
yeah,
well, yeah, let's do it.
yeah, 100%. It's well, one, I'm sorry that happened because Jesus, but like, it's crazy. I think we had a student recently at my work who had a panic attack, and I myself have had sometimes like issues with anxiety. I think I've mentioned
Mm.
on this podcast before as well, so it's no secret. And it shouldn't be. People should talk about it. I think it's important to vocalize those things.
Talk about it.
Talk about it exactly, and it just feels like it's almost like you can't rationale why you're feeling
Mhm.
that way. There's no reason. Like obviously for you there was a reason. You had just gone like fucking 4 hours of fighting, but as you say, there wasn't. You didn't have a reason to be sad as much as you were, I guess. Like there wasn't like a rationale. It's
I
just
should have
you were.
been happy. I was
Yeah,
finished.
yeah, yeah. And it is crazy when you have that experience. Oh well, I shouldn't say crazy, but it is like undescribable, I guess, when you have that experience. It's hard
Yeah.
to tell people like this is how it feels because then they don't really understand. And a lot of people do have that attitude of like I know people in my life who I've met and I still know who have like, oh, they're moaning about this, and it's like, well, no, maybe they do have like some real problems with that. Maybe there is something that you don't understand, and perhaps you just need to think a bit more on that, and it's crazy when that does happen to you. And I'm sorry that you obviously experienced that, but I think what you've gone through in terms of what you did, I think it's an amazing achievement, man. Like, honestly, I don't think I have never heard of anybody doing something like that, and I think you could tell that by the social media reaction you had too. There's a lot of people who shared it who were like, it's crazy. Somebody doing this is insane. But I think it's amazing what you achieved, dude.
Cheers, man. Well, I obviously wouldn't ever want to do it again.
No.
And at the time it was horrific. But I'm really glad that I did it and it's done. Like,
yeah. You're never going to do that again.
Yeah, and I'm never going to do it again. But B, I am kind of glad that I had that like panic attack at the end, because otherwise I would have always been like a little bit closed-minded as to what it was and how it worked. Like now I fully have like a complete 110% empathy for anyone who, because some people like suffer that semi-regularly for no reason. I had it because my adrenaline was all over the place. My body won't work and everything, so I lost control of everything. But other people just get that. Man, I never want that to happen to me ever again. Like,
no, it's like the worst feeling.
But people had tried to explain it to me before, not all the time. It's not like they're like, "Where's Dustin? We need to explain." Like throughout your life, you hear about it, and people try to explain what it's like.
Yeah,
and you just can't. You can't understand. You can't empathize. But like,
no,
anyone listening, just take my fucking word for it. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, if somebody's saying that they're having a panic attack,
put some respect on it.
Yeah, 100%. It is, especially when you said that the bit where you go, oh, you thought you were gonna die, like that thing. I've been there in a panic attack, feeling like I'm gonna die, like I'm having a heart attack, and it's crazy. Like there isn't a way. And then when you say that to somebody, they sometimes are like,
think you're.
They think you're being stupid.
Or something. No.
Yeah.
If you're not there, you don't understand.
Exactly. People go, oh, well, you weren't really going to die. And I'm like, well, it's not the point.
You don't know that at the time.
Yeah, it's not the point. You've missed the point.
It's like, right? Well, it's not, but like something, I don't know, to even get it a little bit. When you get winded, like you fall on your back and you get winded and you cannot breathe for about, it's only like half a second.
Yeah.
But for about half a second, you're like, shit, I literally can't breathe. Now imagine that lasts like 3 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't breathe, or at least in your head, you think you can't breathe.
Yeah.
Like it's that like, I don't know. Yeah, it's not exactly like that, but that's kind of.
I think that's a good way of describing it. It's hard to pinpoint, but
it's very hard to pinpoint. But I'm trying to like put it in terms of how someone. It's like that combined with if you just ran 10K at full tilt, like as fast as you could run. 10K, and then you finish and you don't know what to do with yourself. Like your legs are gone, everything's gone.
Exactly,
and you can't breathe.
It is exactly like, because as you said, the reason you had that was your adrenaline was all over the place, and that's half the reason people who have anxiety or panic attacks, like your body thinks it's under attack and it's putting its adrenaline, it's running its adrenaline. It's like, we've got to do something, but there's nothing wrong. But you try and then rationale why there's something wrong, and you can't, because there isn't. And obviously that's not a science to it. That's not like exactly what happens to everybody. But it is to do with the fact that you're trying to rationale why you're panicked, because that is, your body is instinctively doing that, and it's doing it because it's designed to do that. We were designed to react to things when they happen that are going to put us in danger. And it is just, I don't think people realize, if like the only thing I can have ever close to, I guess, when I've had panic attacks or when I've had like anxiety, and luckily I'm not one of the people who've have it regularly, but I have had them. Is the only thing that I've had the same feeling of like adrenaline was I almost got mugged in London, almost got pushed off my bike, and somebody tried to like take my bike, and he had like a knife, and I like belted it on my bike. Like I fucking like, I don't think if I had a speed thing, if like I was paying attention to my actual like kilometers per hour, which I have on my bike, I bet it was in the fucking 40s. Because I was like, I was getting the fuck out of there. I went so fast. But my body felt like it was under attack, and it had that adrenaline rush to get out of there and do something. But then the same feeling, but there is no somebody mugging me. There's nobody there. There's nothing happening. But I've got this adrenaline to tell me I need to do something. and something's wrong, and I need to act on what's wrong, and there isn't anything wrong, but and then you're like, oh shit, I'm dying, and it
That's
sounds,
mad, man. I didn't know that. You'd not.
yeah. What, the mugging or the
Yeah,
anxiety stuff?
both.
Oh well, yeah. I've always had anxiety issues. They've always been like some problems, and like not too bad now. Like they're working out now and so forth. Sometimes I still do. It's closely linked to my sleep. I just can't sleep sometimes.
Big time, man. That's
Yeah.
for me. That's exactly the same. Like one thing I used to get a lot. I get it sometimes now, but not as much. But I used to get this a lot. Would be mainly when you're trying to sleep. Sometimes during the day, but mainly at sleep. You'd feel really anxious, like you had an exam the next day, or like something really important the next day. But there was nothing. And there was
Oh mate,
no
so
thought
much
attributed to the feeling. You feel like
Yeah.
you've got an exam the next day, but there's
Yeah.
nothing attached, no
Yeah.
thought attached. And I used to try and explain it to Lily, and she obviously understood,
Yeah.
I get that, but she'd never had it, and she didn't really understand. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, recently, Lily's had it a couple of times, so she kind of gets it now. But
Yeah, it's
it's very
I
strange.
completely get that feeling as well. Like that's what keeps me awake sometimes. Like
Yeah.
it happens someday in, like, I've noticed a regular pattern that it'll be on Sundays, so before work, right? And I'll have like an anxiety about work. Now, my work isn't the best job, like that, but it's nothing to be like,
Worried about.
yeah, there's it's not, I'm not gonna die from it, and it's not gonna
I
kill
don't
me or
know.
anything like yeah. Well, with the amount of overtime I've done, but the
Mad.
but in all seriousness, like, it does obviously cause me stress and anxiety, and like in that sense that, it's not a job that I want to be doing. But there'll be nights when, very similar, that it'll feel like almost tomorrow something bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
The way you put it as an exam is such a good way of describing it. But there'll be like something that I'm pondering on and like can't not think about, and I can't sleep because of it. And then I wake up at 6 every day, and it gets to like 3 o'clock, and I'm like, Jesus, like I'm up in 3 hours. And yeah, and then I get anxious about actually sleeping as
Yeah,
well.
too
I'll
right.
start.
Because you've fucked it.
Yeah, I've messed this one up.
No
Yeah,
matter what you can do, you're fucked tomorrow.
yeah, exactly, and it's a vicious circle in that sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, completely, man. And to link it back though, it is not that it's good that you had that panic attack, but it's interesting that you had that feeling
Yeah.
to then be able to, like, especially for that you're doing it for a charity that's so closely linked to that as well.
Yeah.
It's quite like, what's the word we're looking for? It's almost like fitting, I guess. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's a fitting thing to have experienced, and I hope that, like, the little listeners that we have, who've stuck with us for the hour, which is nice of you, can also take something from the conversation, because it has been a heavier conversation, I guess, or heavier
It's been pretty heavy,
podcast.
man.
It has, but I think people do need to talk about it, especially men as well. I think men don't talk about having anxiety or depression and things like that, and I think it's important to do that. So the little listeners we have, I hope there's something you take from that, and obviously, support Minds as well. Go and support them, and
Too right. I'm glad.
don't.
I'm glad I did it for mine. Otherwise, I think I might not have been able to do it. Like, because a
Yeah.
few times I had that little discussion with myself in my head of like, you're doing it for a mental health charity, and this is completely like a mental issue. Like, my body can do it because my body did it. It was just a
Mhm.
matter of like convincing
Mhm.
myself that I was going to be able to do the whole thing.
Mhm. Well, it's amazing that you did, and I think, one, I'm proud of you, and I'm sure everybody who knows you is proud of you too, and you should be really proud of yourself as well, because I think it's an amazing thing to have achieved, man, and especially for Minds as well. I think it's such an important thing. So yeah, no, congrats, man.
Thank you, dude. Much
Yeah,
appreciated. Yeah.
yeah.
I suppose we better do one of those. I don't know. Well, not because we have to, but just because I feel morally obligated to, and because I want to. If anyone is like struggling with anything,
Yeah.
any kind of mental health issue, like we're fun guys, man. Just drop us a message. Like, I mean, we're not professionals, but
No,
dude,
but
if
we
you
can
want to
always
chat,
direct you in the right way,
yeah,
and
or just
I
chat shit.
myself, yeah, I myself am mentally first aid trained, so I've had training in how to support people, even in a small way, but I can also guide people to the right way. Dustin as well, you've had experience of helping people and supporting people, in their mental health needs as well.
Mm.
So I think if you ever do need to reach out, that's what we're here for. And also, there's plenty of places that we can direct you to as well.
Right.
You know, so yeah, completely.
Or if you just want a friend.
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for friends. I'm so lonely.
That's a separate issue. That can be the next one.
But yeah, no, I 100%. I think we have our email as well, but we are always reachable. And I think just even if it's not to us, just people around you as well. If people aren't going to judge you for coming to talk to them. You know, that's not what we're here for. And if they do,
are they the fucking people you want around you? No,
exactly. You took the words out of my mouth, man. If they do, they're not the people you want around you. You know. But yeah, there's always people to talk to, you know, and there's plenty of charities that help with that. Samaritans are good at that as well. They're people who you can always. Is it Talk to Frank as well? That's one that you like.
I think that might be drug addiction, but they might also do mental health.
Well, yeah, I think possibly. I mean, they're not going to turn somebody away, are they? They'll probably send them in the right direction as well. But yeah, there's plenty of avenues. Right. I myself, as I said before, you know, I needed support back in my youth. I make it sound like I'm really old. But yeah, you know, I had to find support, and I did, and it helped me a huge amount. And
what,
you know,
what I was going to say, what did you do? Because what I actually did about a year ago, actually, was just through the NHS, went through to CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy. There's like a service in York that I did, and that was really cool. Like, because that's just about like they kind of give you the tools to develop, to kind of improve on your own. That was really good. So I'd recommend amazing. That to anyone who's struggling with anything. I don't know what you did, Ian, but that was really
that's amazing. Yeah, I would love to do that too. I think I was having like really severe anxiety, and to the point where like there were days where I couldn't function, and I just couldn't talk to people. I'm still bad at talking to people, but that's for different reasons. But I just am terrible.
Have a podcast.
I mean, like messaging people. I am so bad at that, and I think maybe that's a habit that I've got from that. Maybe, but I just couldn't function. There'd be days where I just couldn't do stuff, and I ended up going to the NHS, and I had a very mild antidepressant for a bit to help with anxiety. It was for antidepressant and anxiety, so it wasn't strictly one thing. And I think the ironic thing with that was I got anxious about going on anti-anxiety pills. I know, because again, I think there's just so much misinformation or misunderstanding about, you know, going on to antidepressant or anti-anxiety pills. And then I got counselling through the NHS as well. And do you know what? It's a shame that counselling can be quite pricey, because I think everybody should really do it, because it's just a place where you can just talk to somebody and like voice in a vacuum. So a lot of the time, I think a lot of people feel, I don't want to say anything to somebody because I know them and they'll judge me. But these places, there's nobody to judge. And then you realize that there's nothing to be judged about. There's anything you're saying isn't like weird or like something to be worried about. It's just anxieties that you have and like worries. And I'm a very pensive person, I guess. I think about things too much. And going somewhere to talk to somebody about that became quite like healthy. It became like quite a healthy thing. And the funny thing in one of those meetings, obviously they're private and confidential and so forth, but there was one where I just realized most of my anxiety is that I'm anxious about being anxious. I'm worried about the next time I'm going to feel anxious, and then that makes me anxious.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
It is. And then when I realized that, I was like, I've been wasting so much time being this anxious, you know.
Mad.
But it helped so much to just talk to somebody. So, you know, and the great thing is the two of us had two very different forms of therapy, but both are very helpful. So there's not just one way fits all. That's the thing as well. I think a lot of people go, I don't want to talk to people, but there's tons of different ways to get help, you know, whether it be cognitive therapy or actual like sitting down like in a chair therapy. They're both really successful ways of getting help. Yeah. Well, I think that's a nice. I think it didn't get heavy there. It was actually quite nice. I think it was good. Yeah. It felt good.
To wrap up, fuck Jon Jones. Well done, Ian. Good blue belt.
Congrats, Dustin. Yeah.
Go find help.
Go find help. The other thing I was going to say, and I guess we can plan this more logistic. This is post. We're doing post production again, but we're actually going to Bellator London. That's our next.
Can somebody give me a yeah?
Yeah. So I did think, but perhaps this is something we could do, not a live because we don't do live, but we could do an actual
I think there are laws against that. Just film it all. We'll give our comments.
Put it on. We'll do, but we could maybe do an in-person podcast together.
That would be cool as shit. We'll find
it. Would be.
Just bring my mic down in the
maybe.
Car, stand there with the mic. Mate, it'll probably be easier to get interviews with people if we have microphones. Like
it would be not plugged into anything.
Just go and chat to some of the fighters. They'll be like, "Oh, they look official." Like,
yeah, they know what they're talking about.
Dress sharp.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought even if we can't get interviews with anybody, doing an in-person podcast together, maybe with some of our friends there too. It may be a bit rowdy. It may not make work. We may never publish it, but it would be fun.
Yeah. At the very least, we'll do like an Instagram live.
Oh yeah, definitely,
so,
definitely.
Yeah, follow our Instagram, Combat Casuals Pod, and we'll do some lives or something.
Yeah, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I don't think I've seen you in definitely over a year because of the pandemic. But is it been 2 years?
While. I don't know how long it's been since that time. I came down to London for work. To do that.
Yeah,
but that was a while ago.
Oh my god, that was the weekend. I remember now. I remember this distinctly.
That was pre-COVID.
The listeners don't give a shit about this, but we do. That was the week before the lockdown. That was the weekend before. I remember.
Yes, actually, I think that adds up because I remember them kind of talking about it. Would it still be okay?
Yeah. I remember, and I remember I was a little bit like nervous to go on the tube because there was so much like, it's appearing now. Oh, this is happening. You know, we've had a couple of cases. And I remember being a bit like, oh, well, you know, but then I was like, fuck it, it'll be all right.
Tell you when it was March 2020. That's when I last saw you.
There you go. Man, it's crazy. It's crazy to think. But looking forward to it. And we'll try and figure something out, either Instagram Live or if you did bring your mic, I think you should. We could do a recording of a Combat Casuals podcast together in person, which will be the first time ever.
So bring my mic, bring my laptop, my headphones.
Oh, we could do it all on my laptop. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
You're going to bring the laptop to Bellator? What? And where? What? Just sit in the stands? Christ. We'll figure something out.
We'll figure it out. Awesome. That's cool. It's good to be back, and we'll have another one soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, we will. Cool.
Good.
Right. See you, everyone.
We still haven't found a good way to finish these.
We haven't. No, we always just kind of trail off and say bye like 3 times, and then
just like that. Good.
We need at least the music comes in when I edit it afterwards. Like the music's playing now. I was going to say. I can hear it. It's in my head.
There we go.
Actually, that'll sound awful if the music is playing and we're doing that. I must be perfectly in time with it. Anyway, that's my cousin's band, by the way, Me Against the World. So go check that out.
You should. You definitely should.
Right. See ya. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Combat Casuals podcast.
To get involved with the ultimate fighting conversation, email us at combatcasuals@outlook.com.
We can answer your questions in our next podcast.
Or maybe even have you on the show.
Be sure to follow, subscribe, leave us a review, or support us however you can.
Thank you to Me Against the World for our theme music.
Catch you next time.